Hey everybody, it's Marshall Mike here. This is going to be my Venom movie review. I know that this video is very late, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on what I thought on Venom, and where I think Sony is taking the direction of Spider-Man characters. Not exactly Spider-Man himself, because obviously we have Tom Holland, but they're still going ahead with Silver Sable the movie and with Black Cat the movie. I think Craven's getting his film pretty soon, like they're going to start production eventually, like next year-ish. They're going to cast and everything like that. So Venom is definitely kind of starting this trend of new Sony films. So let's talk about it. So Venom, of course, is the solo Venom film that was announced a while back, and it stars Tom Hardy. Now, here's the thing about Venom, the film. It's very different from other superhero films in the tone of the film, or I guess maybe the overall look of it. Like, it feels very 90s-ish to me, or like maybe early 2000s, because I feel like this could have been Sam Raimi's Venom. Like, if he hadn't gone the direction he did go in, this could have been a different direction that I feel like he could have done as well. Like, it's very similar, I think. You know, it feels more 90s, early 2000s-ish, even though those movies were like early to mid 2000s, I think. I don't really remember for sure, but like it feels older in that regard rather than newer and where comic book films are going today. This time right now that we're in with comic book films, to me, if you don't have the greatest and the latest and the best, if you don't have eye-catching visuals, if you don't have characters that really pop on screen, it's gonna be a problem and it's gonna be an issue to make your mark. Look at Spider-Man with Tom Holland right now. You know, Spider-Man Homecoming, it made kind of a mark, but that's only because it was Disney Marvel. To be honest, I don't think that movie made as big as an impact as other films are making. Look at Black Panther, look at Wonder Woman, look at Infinity War. Those are the films that everybody is automatically going to rush to. So I feel like Venom already has a problem in terms of it's just not working with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not popping. You know what I mean? Which is unfortunate because I think that they have potential here. The other problem is the movie's just not that great, and that's kind of the facts, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but even though that's one way to look at it, the other way to look at it is it's pretty bad. I mean, the writing isn't great and it's not airtight like it should be. I think the only great thing about this movie is the performance of Tom Hardy / Venom. Tom Hardy did the voice for Venom as well, so that's kind of what I'm talking about, is Tom Hardy really carries the movie, and that's kind of a bad thing when the only thing that's really carrying the film is your star and not the script itself. It's really a problem here. Especially the motivation for the third act. I feel like there was really no true motivation to get to that point from the film, and we'll talk about that in a second. But again, Tom Hardy's really the only thing that kind of sells this movie. Now, to be honest, that doesn't mean people don't like the movie. People are loving this film all over the China box office. It's like really doing well. China is definitely like the second, pretty much tied with first, really, with the American movie market. So I get why people are liking it. It's really something that the Chinese box office would love to get their hands on. Like Transformers, very kind of this like really different stance, right? You know, like people love, you know, like fantasy, like Transformers would never really be as realistic. The MCU to me is like a kind of realistic way to look at it, right? Like with fantasy, like if comic book films were realistic, that would be what it would be. This is really just like one of those fun, not going to be realistic things, but still like really fantasy. You know, I don't know. It's a really hard way of explaining it. But again, Tom Hardy did really well in this film, and I really felt that performance from him. So I liked it quite a bit. For everybody else, Michelle Williams was alright in this movie. Like, you know, it was alright. I didn't love her in the film, but I definitely thought that she did the purpose that she was meant to do, which was kind of be the love interest for Tom Hardy. Although, again, it just really wasn't anything that was popping. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like we had seen that kind of relationship before. Like, she felt like Venom's version of MJ, right? Like, she felt like Kirsten Dunst did in the Sam Raimi films, which is again why I feel like this is kind of similar to those films, like Sam Raimi's style and how he wrote it. You know, it's very similar, I feel like, in some ways, and that was one of the ways I felt like it was really similar. Spoiler alert though, so let me give you a second to click off this video if you haven't seen the film yet. Spoiler alert. Oh my gosh, when she turned into female Venom, that was living for that. That was really great. I was living for that quite a bit. Another thing that I didn't necessarily love, and we'll talk about that third act, I promise you, but one thing I didn't love was Riz Ahmed. I feel like Riz Ahmed is usually really good in everything he's in, but here kind of fell short a little bit. I don't know. There was something about Riz Ahmed I just wasn't loving here. They didn't feel as threatening to me, and though a lot of people hated Lex Luthor from BVS, I felt like he was as deranged in that movie that he is kind of threatening. So I feel like with these villains that aren't exactly powered, he didn't get his powers till later in the film, but I feel like with these villains that don't have powers, but are trying to stop someone with powers, you really have to be as deranged. Baron Zemo, Lex Luthor, they gave those kind of performances and those vibes, whereas Riz Ahmed fell short of that. So it's kind of unfortunate. Again, I'm not trying to compare all these things to the same thing, but again, you have to have that feeling, you have to have that to sell comic book films these days. It's such a crowded schedule. Now, for the third act, the only motivation for the third act was that Venom didn't want to go back to his planet to be a loser. That's it. That's really the only reason why he helped save the world. He was so against the planet of Earth in the beginning of the movie, right? And then he just kind of does a 180, right? Like, oh, I don't want to be a loser, so I guess I'll stay here, you know, and stop Riot. That's really no actual motivation for the third act. So again, the script fell short a little bit. The villain's not great, and it kind of just feels like one of those movies you go see with friends, like a throwaway film, you know, like Ready Player One or something like that. You just go see for more of the fun with friends rather than the fun of the movie. So what did you guys think of Venom? There is definitely an awesome end credit sequence that I will make a video to that has potential of making the movie even better of a sequel. And we'll talk about that. But thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later for some more videos. Bye-bye.